enjoy creative doodling, or would you like some interesting designs that you could use in your free motion quilting? Well, today I'm going to show you how to draw each of these designs, a simple version and the more intricate versions that you see here. And you really don't need great drawing skills for these. They're very easy to do. So stay with me and we'll show you how. Today I'm going to do some continuous doodle patterns on this black paper so that you could easily see the finish, but also I'm thinking that you could not only use them in doodling, but you could probably use them in free motion quilting. Now I'm going to start with this one in the middle here, that to me probably the easiest to draw and keep consistent. But if we just start at the side and do two bumps, and then down here it's like a figure eight but with little hearts on the end. Now that I've done hearts, you could probably do circles, teardrops. Just think about what other shapes you could draw on the end there before you do the figure eight and come back down to the other, or back up. There, now that's a nice pattern. If you wanted to, you could do this. You could come up here and do the bump there, and then come and do a smaller heart in there, and then continue down, do the big heart, do the smaller heart, and the same, and just keep continuing all the way along to get more detail. As you can see, it's not hard to add that extra little bit of detail if you feel confident enough to do that. In fact, the smaller heart is much easier to draw than the large heart. And there we are, that's a different pattern again. There's a second pattern. Alright, now the next pattern I'm going to do is one down here, so I'm not leaning on that. And it's just little flowers. It's like, you know how you do a wiggly line that just goes all over the place? Then, well, what I'm going to do with this is I'm staying within those bounds there, and I'm doing a wiggly line all over the place, but every now and then I'm going to stop and do 4 little teardrops. If I start here, I come in here, and I go 1, 3, 4, and then I might come out from here. And notice I'm not making them all the same size, and I'm also not making them all the same distance apart. This is a pattern that just grows as you feel you want to make it grow. And there's a continuous pattern inside a set parameter again. It's a nice border pattern, and you can stop and start wherever you want. Now I'll turn this around and I'll look at these at this end. I've got one here I've done where I'm just doing, it's a variation of that. It's just big loops. So I'll come around here, and wavy lines. So I'll come around here and do a big loop, come around here and do a big loop. Then I'll turn in that direction. The loops aren't all the same size, they're not going in all the same direction, and there's not all the same distance apart, but it's a nice continuous pattern. You don't have to come off too. I could have just gone from here to there, to there, to there, and then come round here and gone back up there and just continued that way. You don't have to do the stopping and starting either. Now this is a variation on the same thing, whether instead of curved lines and loops, we're doing straight lines and triangles. So you might just come in here and do a triangle, and then come down here and do another triangle, come here, do another triangle. They're not all the same size, they're not all going in the same direction. And try and fill in some gaps. And also don't make them all the same distance apart or size or anything like that. Just make them as different as you can as you keep going. There we are. There's that continuous pattern as well. This one I like because you're filling in the gap, but you're just doing lines along that space. So what I'm doing is I come along and do a spiral, then come back out again and come up here, do a curved line, and then do another spiral and come back out again. And then when I come along with these curved lines again, I'm going to do a spiral in a different place. And then when I come back again, it looks like waves continuing, but a nice easy one to do. Now that could be a border, or that could be the whole quilt, and you could do them in all different sizes. Or a nice border pattern for doodling and fill in a space. You could be filling in, it doesn't have to be a long space, it could be a square or a round space that you're filling in with these lines also. Now we're going to come back to this side again, and I've got a little one here that circles within circles. So I'm coming here and I'm going and doing circle within a circle. Now I'm not going to go off with this one, I'm just going to continue on. And there's that one. And the last one fits in this little space here, and it's a bit more intricate. And this time I'm doing loops and flowers. So first of all, I'll come and do a little loop, and then I'll come down here and do a circle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a continuous loop the loop all the way around that circle. And then I'm going to come out and I'm going to do a leaf. Now you don't have to do the leaf. The leaf is just something extra you might choose to do. I'm going to stop here for a minute just to have a look. That one's got a leaf, that one hasn't. It's up to you whether you continue on with leaves or not. And it's up to you how many flowers you put in and how many loops you put in. Now I'm going to put a petal on that one, a leaf on that one. You don't have to do this center line and come back down again. You could leave it without the center line. And then I'm going to come off here. Now I've had a look at these patterns to see what other detail I could add like I did here. And I had a look at this one down here with the flowers. I put that leaf in just to pretend that we've already done that. When you draw this, you come around, do the loop, do the circle, do these loop the loops all the way around. Then you come out and do your leaf. You come out and do your center, and you're stuck up there. Another way to add to this pattern could be to do a wiggly line down one side there to get back down to the middle. And that's what I've done on those, and that just makes that leaf a little bit more interesting. Now with these ones too, up here could be made more interesting by adding these little, maybe a couple of loops in there as you go around. Now I wouldn't come back and do this later, I'd do it initially. I'd decide which way I wanted this when I first started. I wouldn't just come back and add them later like I'm doing now. I'd make that decision before I started, so that while I'm sewing it or while I'm drawing it, I'm doing this pattern complete. So that's a lot more intricate. Now when I look at these ones here, I could come through and do a second loop off the top and make these a bit more interesting that way. Make it, give it that really sketchy look. And notice those, the petals, the second lot of petals aren't exactly the same shape as the first lot of petals too. There's not consistent distance between the first loop and the second loop. Don't have to worry about making it perfect. Make it interesting. And uneven and unusual is quite often interesting. So, you know, if you came back, if you came around and did 2 loops each time you did a petal on the flower instead of 1 loop, you've got a more intricate design. And there's that one. Look at that. Totally different than the first. And then with these little ones here, you might want to come back. You might find that the spaces in between, there's too much space there. So you want to add another lot of triangles. So you might just come back and come into the spaces from the side and maybe add some more triangles into this space just to make it a bit more interesting or decorative, more detailed. I'm not sure. With this one, I think I've got too much detail now. I preferred the more spaced out look, but that's completely up to you whether you want to do that sort of thing or not. But you can come back and add more in the space and in a whole lot of different ways. Now I'm stuck. But as little or as much as you want to add. Now I'm not happy with the adding there. I think I should have left it. But what I added to these, I'm very happy with. And that's a part of pattern making. If you had these in really big designs going down a big quilt, you could even come through and add every now and then a second line along there just to make it a bit more interesting and more detailed. And then you've got that. So success with these extras, fail with that one. I liked it when I first started, but you've got the idea. Pattern making is easy in that you don't need to be able to be a perfect drawer. You just need to be consistent in your ability to draw. So if you've got wiggly lines, or you've got straight lines, or you're more into curvy lines, yours will always look different to mine. But if yours is consistently looking the same as your work, it's going to look like a nice repeat pattern. So there's some designs for you today, mistakes and all, and I will bring them up so you can see them closer. Happy doodling.